We're here in Yerevan, Armenia at the World Congress of IT with none other than Arthur Vayloyan, the CEO of Bitcoin Suisse. Arthur, first of all, great to have you with us, and most importantly, welcome to Armenia.
Thank you, Ori. Happy to be here.
Arthur, I wanted to ask you, first of all, let's give you your thoughts on the broader crypto ecosystem. Obviously, there's been a lot of developments in recent months. What are in your view, the big macro trends that people at home should be focused on when it comes to developments in the crypto ecosystem?
Oh yeah, I think there you have to distinguish between technology space. Right now, super hot is obviously Ether 2.0.
Yep.
That's going on right now, and anybody who understands something about the technology of the space is very much crystallized on that, what's going on. Because it's a complete revamp on Ethereum 1.0 going to 2.0. It's very risky, it's very demanding, and while we speak, it's developing.
Yep.
That's the tech side.
Yeah.
On the side of how to use existing technology, of course, we have the famous tokenization.
Yep.
And people start now after 10 years of Bitcoin, or almost 11 years very soon now,
yep,
of Bitcoin in existence, they of course start to understand that there is more to be done with the opportunity of the technology, so to frame everything into tokens and then peer-to-peer exchange,
yep,
almost anything we can think of.
Yeah, so it's very exciting on the various, we'll come back to some of these developments as well. But I want to ask you also one question on the industry is becoming more and more institutionalized. We have a lot of traditional banks coming up in the space. What do you think is that's the impact that's going to have on the broader blockchain and crypto ecosystem?
Yes, of course it will have a great impact that those people start to look at it in a very intrinsic way.
Yeah.
They will open their minds to the very concept, what does it really mean? And I'm actually quite happy that Libra opened the doors for those discussions, because before you came with Bitcoin, they were almost laughing at you. And now I think we have a serious discussion what's in. Second, I think there is industrial thinking in
yep,
the institutional business. When we talk financial services providers, they look at their value chains and they obviously discover so many things can be done better for the benefit of them as well, yep, but also for us as the consumers. Thirdly, users of the institutionalized arena, because they see opportunities for investment, access for their clients, etc. So I think, Ori, we just started to see an explosion of things coming, and it's about to happen, and so much more to come.
I love the passion. Now you can see it. I think you brought up, Arthur, the point of Libra. Yes. So obviously very controversial. Very keen to hear. Obviously, you mentioned it generate a lot of attention. What's your view on Libra, on Facebook's Libra?
Quite frankly, I think the people at Libra and Facebook in itself took a very courageous step to even open it up to the public discussion. We all know where Facebook stands when it comes to privacy issues.
Yep.
We know the opinions we have about Facebook when it comes to live up to, yep, the concerns we had. And of course, in that context, to come up with something almost intimate as money, private money, crypto assets, etc., that is a courageous step. I think it deserves a bit of an applause to have started, yep, the discussion. Second, they have very intelligent people. They choose and pick and cherry pick the best of what they could see and did a nice magic sauce of their own, the Libra, if I may say so. Thirdly, as I just said, in the midst of the summer, everybody was on holiday, except when Libra came. Yeah. They all woke up and said, oh my God, let's close the summer holidays and come back and discuss deeply.
Absolutely.
And the risk and perils and all these things. And so I think now we are there where we always had to be. The concept of value exchange, of money exchange, of what is sound money, that has been finally brought on stage with Libra, thanks to Libra. And if it's a crypto asset, if you want my answer, of course it's not a crypto asset.
Why is that? Actually, why do you think it's not a crypto asset?
I think, for me at least, crypto asset is reserved to the topics of the public blockchains, okay, that, yeah, generate crypto assets as a reward system in itself. Yeah. So it's almost like a closed circle blockchain, completely public. And like the Bitcoin is always the best example. Yep. So it feeds in itself with its own currency, and it's part of it. So those people who say Bitcoin is bad, blockchain is good, I think get lost. It is all part of one.
So actually, I want to take a step back as well. Actually, I want to talk about regulations.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what is our regulations? What do you think is the impact of regulations on the crypto ecosystem?
As you nicely said on the podium, Ori, and I couldn't agree more, that's a very almost paradox in the situation. Yeah. That in a decentral world, almost everybody says we need regulation, whereas we come from the finance world and there is anything we don't need is more regulation, right? So it's almost like this paradox. Yeah. But of course there must be regulation to it for the playing field, and I think now I see another opportunity for states who have an open mind, like Switzerland, for example, where I live, and I'm privileged to be in a country where our Federal Council, 2014, when most of the people never heard about Bitcoin, produced their first work about how to look at it in the landscape of regulation in a state, how has Bitcoin to be looked at, and that's fabulous. And as what we can now see is a bit of a competition between the states, that they have amenable regulation, and to make sure that the technology in itself is approached in a way that the consumers, the users, are protected.
Actually, I want to bring up Switzerland. Obviously, the people where you live is called crypto. Zug is obviously known for crypto activity. What is your view on the crypto ecosystem right now in Switzerland?
Oh, I think
good things, bad things.
Yes. No, I mean it all started in Zug. Probably, maybe a bit accidental, but it was the root cause to it. Was that Zug is obviously a nice place to start your company. They're open to economics, so it's not just crypto. It's just any company that wants to have a location that is safe and a good land to be and a good starting point. So it happens to be that crypto started there. It attracted. Once the first came, the second came, etc. So it was this ecosystem. Then came the mayor of Zug, who accepted Bitcoin for payment means for fees, right? The government had issued. That was a huge marketing effect as well. And then comes the Federal Council, who says, wait a minute, the famous St. Moritz conference, where you say it's not about the crypto valley, it's about the crypto nation, Switzerland. And obviously that gives a huge boost. Right now we have lots of institutional regulatory work going on to really make sure that we keep that situation and that position in this landscape.
Actually, I want to take a step back. So obviously, before your endeavors in the digital assets world, you were in the traditional banking world, right? What do you think is the future of finance? Do you think the traditional banks that we have today will exist, or if they're going to change, how are they going to change over the next 20, 30 years?
I think probably it's a bit slower, short term, than many of us think, or let's say the crypto enthusiasts think initially, because when you look at it in itself, you immediately think this is going to change everything. No. That's not the case. Of course, we have amalgamate of old world, new world, and I think more and more people, the consumers, you and me, we are educated enough to see what is really good and what is sort of mature enough to delegate some of our hard-earned money and values to new system, and what we better stay tuned to established system, because not everything that is in existence is just for the fact of Bitcoin just bad. That would be a bit too simplistic, right? So I think what we are privileged in the space of technology, that we start to see what we can choose and pick in a better way and get rid of the old stuff that actually is quite old. And so in itself, banks will look at their processes, hopefully we will benefit from that. In itself, payment systems will be so much faster. In itself, some of the intermediaries which outrageously take out rent from systems, that will be the thing of the museums very soon, and more to come.
So if you had to give one piece of advice to a traditional banker, somebody working for a traditional organization right now watching this, what advice would you give to such a person?
The best advice I would give, come to me, let's have a conversation.
You may be flooded by emails right now after the show, right? A couple 100,000 people watching this. But I mean, you think the problem right now is the problem of education? People are not knowing about enough digital assets? Is it more about they don't want to know, it's a status quo? What do you think is the biggest challenge there?
Okay, I think, let's say, the knowledge level has to be supported wherever we can. Education. Second, user friendliness of the whole system is still yet far away from where we think it should be, because if you are, let's say, open-minded and you say, yes, let's go for it, the first you face is a pretty heavy techno, difficult situation. So maybe a bit more specific, what I would advise, come to me and talk with my colleagues from Bitcoin Swiss. We're so happy to educate you and make you a nice experience into your first steps of crypto assets.
That's exciting. So before we move on to my final fireside round, I want to ask you one question on Armenia. We're obviously, you're everyone here. What's your impression of Armenia so far? This was your first visit, I believe, right?
Yes.
So first visit in Armenia, what's your view, what's your impressions? So I think the audience would love to know that.
Oh, of course, it's the reception was fabulous. It's warm, it feels home. And congratulations to Armenia that they achieved now this moment. I know so many people worked extremely hard to get to that point. And this is one of the many things you will continue to achieve, and I'm proud of this. Thank you, Armenia.
I can tell you, I think on behalf of every Armenian, I think we look forward to having you back in Yerevan as well. So, Artur, I want to go a couple of quick questions. These are really 1 or 2 word answers, and we'll answer. We'll take it from there. And I'll put it here, not to destroy the table. So again, 1 or 2 word answers, and we'll kick it off. So here we go. If you could go back to university today, what is the one course you would take that you wish you had taken back in the day?
Math.
Math. Why is that?
Math is for me the foundation of almost everything nowadays.
If you were going to give one piece of advice to an 18-year-old university student today, what would that piece of advice be?
Have a close look at crypto.
So when you're not a CEO of a crypto company, where you spend most of your free time?
Reading about crypto.
If you had a choice between if you had to launch a new startup, and I'll give you a couple of co-founders, you tell which one would you pick? One is Jack Ma from Alibaba, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, Steve Jobs, if he was alive, from Apple, and fourth, last but not least, Kim Kardashian. Which one would you pick?
Jack Ma.
And why is that?
I think my approach to China is yet very remote, and it's so impressive, and the opportunity is there. And I think I could tell him also certain things.
Your biggest source of inspiration?
Family.
Family.
Spirituality.
Wow. If you're not living today in Switzerland, which country would you want to live in?
Many.
Favorite one?
Favorite one, I lived many years in Montevideo, Uruguay.
Wow.
It's almost my second home.
And last question, last but not least, you've been in Armenia right now for the last couple of days. What is the one thing you love the most about Armenia?
The Armenians. Really. Congratulations, it feels home. And it's only 2 times I've been here now. That's the second time. First time it was many years back on an anniversary. I got to know the country. Actually, I'm one of the few Armenians probably who have been on Mount Ararat.
Here we go, so do I. Here we go, here we go,
One of the few. So there's many things to explore. I'll come back, for sure.
Artur, thank you very much, and we look forward to having you back in Armenia.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.